Hello everybody, I'm Don Counts and we're here at the Warrior exhibit in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and we've got Linda Williams here, and Linda's going to tell us who our guest is today.
Don, today we have Mr. Lanny Perkins. He was in the Navy and he served during the Vietnam era, and we are really excited to hear his story today.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
Lanny, can you start out like why you went in the service, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it?
Well, I went in, I just figured there was so much going on. As you know, the Vietnam War was not popular. And I can contest to that. I used to see signs up in people's yards, dogs and servicemen to stay off the lawn. I'm serious. This is Myrtle Beach, Virginia. But also it was bad enough to where we went on leave off liberty, on liberty. They advised us to go at least in pairs in our own country. But I just felt it was due, and I wanted to utilize your school, and that was one of the reasons why I did go in, which the school wasn't that great. It was on a self-progressive thing. If you went in and finished and got a grade 85 or better, and finished it within the before the 12 weeks, then they would give you the next rank. Well, I didn't go in right out of high school. I already had a job as a machinist, automotive machinist, for several years. So I went right through the school. I came out with a 98 or 96.4 average, and I did it in 3 weeks, actually 2.5.
Now, what kind of school was this?
It was E&A school. Be Engineman school. You work on the equipment. It's like being a Navy mechanic. Okay. Only you're working on the boats. It's all over. It's all on water. They have motor wellboat. They have lifeboats. They have skids, and then of course we have the engines inside the ships. Now the one we were on was a destroyer, and we used to escort the JFK, and we had 2 emergency diesels because the ship is powered by steam, and they have boilers. Well, every once in a while, that boiler will flash out, which means you've got a warship there. It's a floating cork. There's no electricity. There's no nothing, no propulsion. So we had to get down to the engines. They have 2 diesels down there, and we crank those off. There's a generator on the back of the diesels, and we have an electrician down there, and they have one of us down there. I was actually in charge of those diesels. I took either forward or aft, whichever was the harder one to operate, and gave my other guy the other one, and would fire them up, and that would give us supply electricity for the ship, all the equipment on top side, and it would supply the fuel pumps so they can pump fuel oil to the boilers and light them back off again. So you've got a matter of just 30, 40, 50 seconds to get down there and get that thing fired off, because like I said, we're vulnerable. So that was the kind of job we had. And we also did other things around the ship, like low pressure steam, anchor windlass, equipment like that. You used to maintain it or repair it.
Now, how many people would be on your ship?
It was a destroyer. It was a small ship, so usually around 175, 180.
And how long at a time would you go out and stay?
It all depends. If we went to the Med, it would be a 6-month tour. If we went out on maneuvers, exercises with other ships, then it would usually be 2-3 days, maybe a week. And then we did escort the America down the east coast of United States as a goodwill thing, where we would stop and they would come on. They would see our ship and we'd tell them about it and everything. I think that was about a week or 2.
Okay, we were talking earlier about your time that you spent in Vietnam or off the coast of Vietnam. Can you tell us?
No, I didn't go there. We were mainly around the Mediterranean. Like I said, at that particular time, our ship had already put its tour in, so I came in afterwards. I was in during the wartime, but like I said, I saw no action. We were in areas where, like, we had to go to there's a place called Scaramanga, Greece, and they were boycotting the United States. It sounded like a weird name, huh? But that's the name of the port. But we had an American port there, and we weren't letting it go. Greece wanted us out of there. So we would, a ship would go down, a warship only would go down there and use just a destroyer because we're small, and we would spend a week there, and then would rotate. So that's probably the most hostile part. We weren't allowed to leave or anything. We weren't allowed to go off the small base we had there. It's a very small base, and but we were mainly escorting the JFK. That was our mission.
And the JFK was a
Kennedy aircraft carrier. The
Okay.
JFK, the John F. Kennedy aircraft carrier. It was one of the most modern ones at that particular time.
Okay, when you got out of the service, did you use what you learned in the service as work, a career after that?
No, not really. I mean, everything was mechanical. I was mechanics before I went in the service. I was a machinist before I went in the service, and then I just did that in the service. And when I came out, I just went ahead. And I worked 25 years for General Motors dealerships, mostly Oldsmobile, which I don't even make anymore.
Where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Miami, Florida. When we, like I was telling Linda, when we had our boy, I decided I didn't want to be in Miami anymore. It's not a great place to raise kids, I don't think. When I was there, it was great because we didn't have really that much trouble. You had your crime and everything, but it really wasn't that bad. We're talking, in the middle and late 50s, early 60s. I mean, it was not bad at all. Then when Castro started emptying his jails out and bringing everything over here, and the gangs and mobs we had there, they started progressing, especially with the drug routine. The drugs was the main thing. I didn't want to stay there. That's why I came up here. I wanted to be around the Bible Belt and raise my boy here.
Did you get drafted, or was you volunteer?
I enlisted. I got my draft notice, but I had a deferment because I was in college at the time.
What did you like the best about the service, about your time in the service?
I liked the travel, the camaraderie with the other guys. I guess, like I said, the school was okay, but when I gathered up leave, I would wait until I get about 2, 3, 4 weeks leave, and I didn't go home. I went out and I traveled. I've been to about, I've probably been to about 42 states in the United States, and probably about 16 countries. I've been literally around the world, everywhere from all around the Mediterranean, Africa, Australia, Guam, Philippines. Just.
And would you have done that or been able to do that if you had not been in the service?
Oh no. And I wouldn't have even traveled the United States as much as I did.
What's your favorite place you've been to?
Foreign or domestic?
Foreign.
Australia. It's the closest thing to America, believe it or not. We got friends with this older couple. When I say older, at the time, you got to remember, I was like in my middle and later 20s, so they were probably in their 40s. So at that time it was old. Right now I'd like to be 40. But we got friends with them, and they, a friend of mine and I, they took us about 100 miles inland, went to a place called Toowoomba. And I tell you, it's like walking down Leave It to Beaver Street. It was so much like the United States. And we were in Brisbane, and Brisbane's a big city. And it was nice. I mean, everybody was going there. So I enjoyed it.
Now, what's your favorite domestic area that you like?
Well, actually, there's two places. I did enjoy Hawaii, and I enjoyed a lot of California.
You were talking earlier about an uncle that served during, was it the uncle that
Mm-hmm.
served during World War II?
Well, both my dad and my uncle.
But tell about the submarine, because that's interesting to me.
Well, my dad, he was in the Coast Guard because he couldn't get in the Navy at the time. And after Pearl Harbor, anybody could get in the Navy, but he was pre-war time, so he went in there. So anyhow, he was on a cutter, and they used to escort the Liberty ships to and from America to Britain and back. and they did encounter a submarine, which they dropped depth charges on it, and it made it surface, and they took the crew off. And like I said, the captain would not come off, and they told him 3 or 4 times in German to get off the ship. He wouldn't do it. They told him they were going to shoot him, and they shot him. Then they went ahead and scuttled the sub.
So how did they sink it? What did they do?
They put charges in it,
Mm.
put on a timer, and they got back from it, blew it up, let it sink.
That's interesting.
Then my uncle, he flew P-47s, which is a Thunderbolt, and he was over in England, and he was right in the middle of the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh. Would you recommend young boys today to go in the service?
I don't know. It's not like it was when I went in, or even when my dad was in. Right now, I can speak blunt. I don't trust the leadership, and I certainly don't trust the administration. They've already left our boys over there in Iraq, Iran. I don't trust them to stand up for us. If my boy was called back in, he served 10 years in. He went in the Navy. And if he was thinking about it, I'd advise him not to go. I'm as patriotic as you're going to get, but I don't want to sit there and give my life up for nothing. I'd like to at least make it count for something.
We appreciate your service, for sure.
We sure do.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in and doing the interview with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No. If they ever get their act together, I'd recommend the service. It's a great place to go, but not under this administration.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.